Show.
We're already shared around.
Shoving
Hey,
it
everybody.
around. Hey,
Hey, everybody.
everybody.
Welcome to the pre-show. This is where
Welcome
we
to the
talk about what we're going to
pre-show.
do on the show. My eyes have been killing me lately.
Goma's been hitting that special hub a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
lately.
That's
He
what it
needs to
is.
get some Visine to get the red out. Maybe a little less scotch, and some more water.
I have both.
Drink 'em.
I have both.
Drink 'em till you stink 'em.
This is the part of the show where we talk about what we're going to do on the show. Fun-filled week. It was a pretty solid week for comics. Not nothing like last week, but we had a lot of quantity and quality last week. This week, some good books, though. Some solid books.
Yes.
Segment 1 is good. I watched a Christmas movie. I'll talk about it. DC announced a new publishing thing 2023 for next year.
Did you get that thing I sent ya?
What thing?
That thing I sent ya.
I don't think so.
If you're a fan of Harvey Birdman, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't remember this at all. No. More Sins of Sinister news over at Marvel. James Tynion getting into the paper.
Tiny Ion.
Tynion. Tiny Onion. Tynion.
Tiny Ion.
Tynion. Tynion.
Tiny
anyway,
Onion.
You're going to start slinging some more paper comics. And then we'll talk about Free Comic Book Day. They released all the books that are coming out Free Comic Book Day. That's it. Double dose of food news. It's gadgets this week. Food gadgets. Christmas is right around the corner, y'all. So if you're looking for something to buy,
get me that saw.
And then it's a bunch of comics. Oh, look, there's Taylor. Is this
Hi, Taylor.
Hey, I wasn't expecting a David today.
Yeah, it's a Dave week.
Yes,
I had my facts mixed up, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't here to remind you.
You missed most of the pre-show. Well, I was sick earlier this week. I was actually sick all week, man.
Oh,
Thursday night. Yeah, I am feeling better, but wow. There's a lot of shit going around. It's like a triple dose of terrible stuff, man.
Goma had strep throat.
I don't know what I had. I had something terrible, but yeah, so it's chock full of awesome. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're still doing a show tomorrow, but Dave won't be here.
Nope. I won't be here.
But yeah, still happy Thanksgiving. Let's do the damn show. Let's do the thing.
Mm-hmm. If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak.
I had a dude getting all mad there too. I had like, oh, I'm keeping that. I'm keeping dude getting all angry, mean bugging. Dude, that's great. So it's heartwarming. You can't do comedy like that.
It's like the only Thanksgiving movie, you know?
Yeah. Greetings, geeks. Welcome back. It's another episode of this Geek and Comics Hour at Geekery's Comic Book Shit Talk Show.
Comic Book Shit Talk Show.
Gomer, Taylor, David. How's it going, guys? Good week?
Dave, you blew it. You said comic book instead of just Shit Talk Show.
Oh, it's the extended version. Director's cut.
Oh, man. There's things you just can't get away with nowadays that you could in an 80s movie.
Yeah. I watched a Christmas movie this week. It was brand new. I know it's a bit early for that, but not really. A Christmas Story Christmas.
Okay, so
HBO.
I'm interested, but I was worried about this. So I'm interested.
You should be a little bit worried, but I mean, come on. Nothing is ever going to destroy the nostalgia that is the first one. And the thing about this is, right?
Isn't this like the movie? Isn't the first one like the movie they play like every Christmas for like 24 hours?
TBS.
There's that one channel, that just plays it 24 hours. For the longest time, I never saw the original Christmas Story because my mom hates the movie, and so when I was a kid, she didn't want to have it on, so we never saw it.
That's weird.
When I've watched it later, I did not understand because it is charming.
Why did you hate this, Mom? Yeah. So the original is quaint and kind of cheesy, you know.
It's
charming. It's charming, yeah.
It's not necessarily good, but it is extremely charming.
Yeah, so this is as quaint and cheesy as you'd expect a nostalgia-fueled revisit to be. All right, so basically Ralph goes home for Christmas, right? He's got 2 kids and a wife, and he's taken a year off to write like a novel, right? But what he's written is like this huge Asimov-esque. It's in the 70s, right? An Asimov-esque sci-fi thing that nobody wants to buy, right? So
Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah, that kind of shit, right? Because he's like a nerd, he's a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
So anyway, his father passes away as they're driving there, right? So in the process of him writing his obituary for his dad, he ends up writing the story that we know from the original A Christmas Story movie.
That's a pretty clever way to frame
meta.
it.
Like it's meta too, man. It's meta.
Yeah.
So all Christmas movies are cheesy and lame. All right, that's the point, right? But they all feed off like this vestige of nostalgia.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why it's important, because we feel like it's a vestige, even though it's ingrained into all of society. Christmas will pretty much never go away unless society does, right? But
I was mostly just worried that like it would just basically be like, hey, here's the leg lamp, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Oh, that's exactly what it does. It does that.
Okay.
He goes into the attic and explores, and yeah, there's the tasseled, lampshade. There's the pink.
Oh well, I guess the actual like lamp was destroyed in the original movie. But
exactly. So yeah, this is a unique entry, right? It's able to lean hard into the nostalgia because the movie that it's sort of based on is become so ingrained in nostalgia.
Well, the original Christmas Story was.
Oh yeah, for sure, Brandon.
Kind of trying to capture like the nostalgia of Christmas in a lot of ways,
Yes,
like,
exactly. So
it was set, like, they made the movie in like the 70s or the 80s, right? The original one.
I think they're like the early 80s.
Yeah,
and it was set like way the fuck before that. So like it was
set like in
trying
the 50s.
to be. Yeah, it was intentionally trying to be nostalgic from the get go.
Yeah, for sure. And this leans into that in really good ways, But Brandon in the chat, thanks for stopping by, listening on Facebook. Can we stop and do a moment in Power Rangers? Yeah, for JDF, for sure. I mean, Jason David Frank passed away.
Yeah,
we're hearing it suicide, man. It sucks.
Yeah, there's been like reports that suicide,
struggle with depression and that sort of shit. And it always boggles my mind that people who are this popular and this famous don't have that support system. But in a way, he stood for like this strength, when he
my reaction is kind of the opposite, that this is all too common,
right. It makes,
perhaps it is surprising that they don't.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. I got a bunch of G1s hiding too, man. Really,
it happens too often for me to be surprised when I hear stories like this. And that doesn't make it any less tragic or less heartbreaking or anything, but it's just such a damn shame,
It really is, man. It's just so hard for me to imagine not having that support system. But he always came off as such a strong guy, everything he did, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's not a support system, it's a system of people who enable.
So the opposite.
Oh, Andy just now learning, that the Green Power Rangers, passed away. Sorry about that, Andy. Thanks for stopping by though, honestly. And then Brandon, I also kind of figured he could have took his own life. See, that's even more alarming. If there were signs of it on his social media, like Brandon's alluding to in the chat, that should have been something. That should have been a red flag for somebody. And it sucks that people don't have those individuals in their circles, But oh well, he will be missed. Man, he was the best Power Ranger, honestly. He was, at least.
I mean,
awesome.
Well, he was the one that was the Power Ranger the longest.
It's easy to forget with it being a kid show that I watched when I was an actual kid, but his character introduced an honestly pretty complex story arc here, where he was like introduced as like a brainwashed bad guy and everything.
Oh, dude, it was. And then he went
like
with a White Ranger,
arc,
and then there was white. I mean, there was a big arc there, and it had
for a kid show. It was pretty complicated stuff.
Yeah, man, for sure. And then he was Bloodshot in like that Bat in the Sun thing for Valiant, and that was great, But yeah, he will be missed for sure. If you have that, reach out. If you're feeling, like you're gonna hurt yourself, reach out. There's numbers you can call now. Isn't it like 311 now or something? There's like
there was a big push to get the suicide outreach line down to 3 numbers because dialing those extra 4 could make the difference between life and death for a lot of people.
And if we can do it, if we have the infrastructure to make something like that easier, we should definitely do it. So yeah. All right, did y'all do anything this week worth mentioning? Anything worth talking about?
I screamed at my supervisor for about 20 minutes.
And nothing. We don't want to hear work shit. I hear work.
Well, I'm
It
caught
was
up on
great.
Andor, but I figure we'd talk about that when the series is over next week.
Yeah, I really need to watch all of it, and that's going to be I have all week now.
It is really good, and it is best watched in chunks, I would say.
Nice. One final comment before we move into the news. 311 if you need to talk. Good call out, Andy. All right. Okay. Yeah. No, not at all. Brandon in there apologizing for bringing up, the Green Power Ranger. No, dude. No. We'll talk about any fucking thing.
Brandon, I wanted to mention, I fucking love your profile picture there. It's like stylized Hontor there. That's rad.
Yeah. All right, Dawn. Moving into comics, Dawn of DC has been announced. DC Comics is embarking on a year-long storytelling initiative called Dawn of DC, following the events of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths and DC Universe's Lazarus Planet. The world's superheroes have emerged from the biggest, most devastating battles of their lives and are reinvigorated in their fight against evil. 20 new titles. New creative teams, obviously. Villains that will push the heroes. All starting in Action Comics 1051. So they're saying that it's going to be a multi-event narrative initiative, which is promising, dude. That leads me to believe that they're going to get their hands dirty and actually do some storytelling. We know this is happening in the Superman family, already. All of this shit's going to cross over. There's going to be different stories in Action Comics, like 3 ongoing stories about 3 different members of the Superman family. They're spreading the love. So it seems like maybe they're going to do that with just about everything else. New directions for Batman, Superman, Nightwing, Harley, Poison Ivy. That's all really the news we get. We're also getting new books. Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Shazam, Doom Patrol, Green Arrow, Cyborg, Penguin. Again, we don't really have a lot of news about this. Well, this itself is some fucking good news, man.
Yeah, Superman and Batman and all them, they're always going to have their books. But it is cool to see them spreading the love to a few of those characters who don't always get in rotation, like Shazam and Cyborg and all them.
Yeah, we got some Doom Patrol pencils that look great.
Oh, that looks like Jeff Darrow.
I don't think
it's not Jeff Darrow, but it's very Jeff Darrow-esque.
It looks good, though.
I like the Negative Man down there, especially.
Yeah. So Green Lantern fans are going to get a Green Lantern Hal Jordan and a Green Lantern John Stewart book. That's rad. That might be the same. Well, hold on. John Stewart is going to be Philip Kennedy Johnson and an artist to be named later. Hal Jordan returns to Earth. It's not saying who's going to write. Oh, Mariko Tamaki.
Ooh,
okay. Going to write that.
Hey,
an artist to be named later. Oliver Queen has been lost in Dark Crisis. His family is determined to find him. Green Arrow by Joshua Williamson and Sean Izaakse. He's currently on the Thunderbolts book. So that should be good. That should be fun. Dark Knight and core stories building out of Dawn of DC. Batman the Brave and the Bold features top writers Tom King, Mitch Gerards, Guillaume March, Gabriel Artem, Dan Mora. A bunch of fucking people on that book. Victor Stone, Cyborg is going to get a book. They're going to reveal more on that later. So, yeah, dude, Mark Waid is doing a Shazam book. That's going to be good. The Superboy book is going to be
Mark Waid, I think, is a great fit for Shazam, to be sure.
Yeah, I think so, too. Look at this. He's riding a fucking dinosaur. That is rad.
The book that went through the whole gauntlet earlier in the year, is that going to be one of these titles in this book series?
Yeah, that's the Superboy book.
Okay.
That's this one right here, The Man of Tomorrow. Yeah, and that team's already been decided. It's Porter and Lindsay.
Yeah, it's even got the badge there to show us.
Oh yeah, that little badge, the winner. Yeah, good call out there. So we're also gonna get.
I'm still salty about it not being that Alan Scott book.
Yeah, me too.
Hey,
Me too. We're still going to get a Penguin book. Penguin is forced into organized crime by the U.S. government. That sounds fun.
That's entrapment.
Yeah. The working title for that is The Penguin. That'll be Tom King and Stefano Gaudiano.
Okay.
And then a John Henry Irons book is coming out. And they're going to introduce his niece, Natasha, for some legacy character potential. So, Yeah, dude, there's a lot of shit going on at DC Comics this year in 2023. It's going to be huge, 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 huge.
Even if this is an exercise in like throwing mud at the wall to see what sticks, at least some of this should be good, you know?
Yeah, Andy chiming out in the chat. Again, thanks for kicking it, Andy. Andy, go by the Outright Geekery Facebook group. Go to Facebook and search groups for Outright Geekery. Andy's over there kicking it all the time. And he's calling out the new Doom Patrol book. Yeah, new Doom Patrol is always good, man.
Doom Patrol is one of those prestige books, you know, kind of like Daredevil or Swamp Thing. Or like, you know, there's been a lot of really good runs, and like good writers go there to tell good stories a lot.
Yeah, man. So we got to look forward to, and then more, you know. So we'll have more on that as it busts out. So moving on to the Sins of Sinister. This is the next big thing for Marvel coming up this year. And we get to see some looks about what these characters are going to look like in this sort of age of apocalypse that is caused by Mr. Sinister.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what we get.
So are we like sliding over to one of his like lives before like reincarnations and shit like that, I guess? Because apparently he can like just keep resetting the timeline with Moira now, and that does make a lot of interesting potential.
I mean, we're not sure exactly what happens. I think the worst thing happens, and maybe he runs out of lives to reset like Moira did, and then he's sort of stuck in a future. I'm not sure. We don't know exactly, you know, what is going to happen here, but we're getting just a look at, like, here's Cable with some, not a technovirus. What is that? A Krakoan virus, maybe?
Maybe. Is that supposed to be Beast? Oh, no, it's Nightcrawler. Okay.
No.
Nightcrawler year 100, it says.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of this is, like year 10 for Captain America.
Even though we have Nightcrawler on the Wolverine here, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this should be a lot of fun. Mr. Sinister is a hoot. He has consistently been one of the best parts of lots of different books since the Krakoan status quo had started up. So yeah, I am in favor of them just giving him, you know, his own event.
Right. Here's the return of Rasputin from Hoxpox. If y'all remember her,
I do. Yeah.
Probably not the same one. You know, the futures change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit more about Mr. Sinister, most likely later on in the reviews.
Now, is this Ironfire? Is this supposed to be like Odin? Or
it looks a lot like Odin.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's got to be a mutant. So that doesn't make sense.
It looks like it could be Doctor Strange's cloak of levitation on him too. So I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
Yeah, dude.
Well, Captain America, unless they did something to him when they resurrected him during that whole Judgment thing. He's not a mutant.
True. That doesn't necessarily need to be mutant exclusive, I would say. That's fair
yeah,
point.
You're right, because Sinister had, you know, in this image, he's got Captain America there. But if he's got access to that DNA, which he obviously does if they were able to resurrect him, why wouldn't he just have a little bit of fun? You know, he makes Mr. Sinister versions of fucking everyone, you know, and everything. That's just who he is. That's what's going to cause him to have such a terrible time here. But it's not a very big event, you know. It's a few months, but
not a very big. It lasts until April.
No, it's lasting
honestly
until April,
by
but
event standards. That's
books.
Pretty truncated, honestly.
Yeah, the average is 3 books a month. That's nothing, dude.
A lot of these things, like usually at least 6 months, because they usually do at least 6 issues. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And in this, there's only technically like 2 extra books.
Yeah,
you know?
And then it's just like storylines from various X books.
Yeah, the Sins of Sinister 1 and then Sins of Sinister Dominion #1. But then just like what they did during Age of Apocalypse, all of the ongoing X-Men books, well, at least, you know, a lot of them, are just going to change titles, you know, and exist in this universe that Sinister creates, which I think is a really cool way to do it. You know, these are the 3 books. Immoral, you know, Immortal is becoming immoral. Nightcrawlers, what is that? The Age of X, or not Age of X?
Wolverine books.
Correct.
Huh?
Legion of X.
Yeah, Legionnaires, Legion is something. And then Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants is, you know, X-Men Red.
X-Men Red, yeah.
Yeah. And then we get the Sins of Sinister bookends there. So yeah, this is Kieran Gillen, Al Ewing, Cy Spurrier they're the ones who are putting their mark on the X books right now. You know, they're the ones who are doing the most in that universe. So maybe outside of Duggan, but not really. He just happens to have the flagship book. But the flagship book isn't really guiding the rest of the X books, really. It's just sort of living in the status quo like everything else is. These books really feel like they're establishing the status quo, you know, a lot more than X-Men is. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. And we will have more on that. That starts, I mean, very soon. You know, Immortal X-Men #9 is the prelude. We just had a book this week that felt like a prelude to this.
In a lot of ways, yeah. It tied in a lot with what's going on in that X-Men book.
Yeah. All right, moving on to some more independent
hold on.
stuff.
He's got to clear his desk off.
Yeah, he's like moving CDs around. James Tynion IV is moving all of his Substack books to paper. They will be made available on paper through Dark Horse. Really, that's all you need to know. He's going to have his own imprint over there, which means a lot of things. He gets a lot more power. He definitely gets a lot more money. He gets a lot more ability to expand things in any direction he wants, either publishing things that were previously digital or going with new paper stuff. You know, he has an immediate place where he can just go and say, nope, publish this. And they basically have to do it. They have to. It's his line, you know.
Yeah.
Same deal Kirkman's got, same deal McFarlane's got over there at Image. So my favorite part of this is he can bring in other people to start doing work in these universes that he is building over at Dark Horse now. So Ironfire looks like Thor joining the X-Men instead of Avengers. Yeah, I know, Brandon. It does look weird. We'll just have to wait and see. Anything's possible with Mr. Sinister, you know, doing the things he does. So Blue Book is from Avon Oming and Bidikar on letters. It's aliens and supernatural shit, you know. So is the odd.
Well, it's Project Blue Book.
Yeah, it's Project Blue Book. Exactly. Yeah. Which is like a real life alien.
Yeah, it was the Air Force's investigation into the UFO phenomenon back in like the late 50s, early 60s.
Well, I did not know the reference there. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, and that is right in Tinion's wheelhouse, dude. If you've read Department of Truth, which I'm not sure why you're not.
I mean, Department of Truth and like even the Sandman book that he did kind of
for sure
goes into that kind of spooky shit, you know.
Yeah. So good on him. He has finally basically solidified himself as, I don't know, man, one of the best writers out there. He's got his own line now at Dark Horse. He's writing Sandman, one of the most timeless, you know, books of all time at DC. He's doing whatever the fuck he wants over at Image Comics.
Oh, there you are.
He just does everything. You know, he's definitely one of the best out there right now, and we'd have been remiss if we didn't mention that those books are coming out. So
this one's kind of like Harry Potter, right? The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos.
It does. That book is it's going to be out on June 7th. It's a lonely teen mad scientist named Christopher Chaos. When the cute boy at high school turns out to be a deadly creature, Christopher finds himself pitted in a world of monsters, heroes, and a cult of hunters out to kill them all. Tiny created the book, which is written by Tate Bromble with art by Isaac Goodhart, colors by Kurt Michael Russell, and letters by, again, Anidia Bidikar. So, yeah, man. Well, I'm looking forward to those.
Broadly speaking, it's one of those like isekai type things where like, there's like a secret world that you have to go deal with.
It's a portal. Yeah, it's a portal story. Yeah.
Rick and Morty, the high school years.
So I will definitely read those because I read everything Dark Horse puts out, you know, especially #1. So
Dark Horse has been hitting it on the cylinders.
Well, they've had to. You know, they've lost some things, they've gained some things, but they have strategy
recovered greatly since they lost like the most of the Fox licensing.
Well, yeah, like even back when they were losing all the Star Wars stuff, like people were like ready to, you know, just have a fire sale for the place.
Yeah, to close the doors. Yeah.
Yeah, people were really, you know, the sky is falling, doom and gloom type thing. But yeah, they have landed on their feet remarkably well, considering all the licenses they've lost in recent years.
And that's one great thing about this industry. You know, it's a market that you can do so many different things to attract business. You can pull in creator-owned shit. You can go find new licenses. You can create new licenses through editors. You know, you can get a creative editor. The shit that Hickman's doing over there at 3 Worlds, 3 Moons, any publisher right now could go out and find somebody to go and do that. The Massiverse is example 1 for that. You know what I mean? They could do it. They could go find Tynion appears to be doing that with this at Dark Horse. So, yeah, it's a great time to be a comics fan. Great time to be a comics fan. Speaking of a great time to be a comics fan, the best time of the year, Free Comic Book Day 2023. The gold books have been announced. Archie's doing a book called The Cursed Library.
I'm guessing that's in the horror Archie vein.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right there, Archie horror. Which, hey, they have really found a groove in this horror story.
They really have. They got a book coming out called Betty the Last Girl, which is obviously
like the final girl.
Final girl. I think it might actually be the final girl, not Betty the final girl.
That's
anyway,
pretty cool.
Yeah, this is going to be a preview for that probably, but this is sort of like man, what's the hell that dude? Tales from the Crypt Keeper. You know, they got this one person who's telling the story. You know, that lead character who's telling these little vignettes of stories.
Oh, and like all the stories were like a book from the library. That's really fun.
Yes,
I like that.
yes,
that's
dude.
Cool.
Yeah. Boom's doing a Ranger Academy, going off that awesome popularity of the Power Rangers. So that's going to be a new book called Ranger Academy. I cannot wait for that. That sounds like it's exactly what it sounds. If that's exactly what it sounds like, it's going to be dope. A school where the Power Rangers go from all these different universes, go to learn how to be Power Rangers. Oh, fuck yeah.
I mean, Power Rangers have really found a new life in the comic books.
It's amazing. It really is amazing, dude. Dark Horse has Umbrella Academy and The Witcher, probably two of their biggest franchises in terms of the screen adaptations. So, getting in where they fit in on Free Comic Book Day. The Star Trek book from IDW, it's going to be a prelude to the big summer crossover event that is going on in the Star Trek books. I've been a huge fan of that, and it's very early. But Fish Flies #1 over at Image Comics. That is Jeff Lemire's new creator-owned book.
I don't know what the fuck a fish fly is supposed to be, but hey, Jeff Lemire gets you automatic interest,
Yeah, and it looks like he's doing the art too.
Oh yeah, that's definitely his art.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah, he's doing the art. Here's the premise. When a child running away from home befriends a monster, she sets off a chain of strange events and bad omens. I can't wait. That's all I need is that one sentence. Then we get
Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, then we get the three big ones I think are going to be the three most popular ones. Marvel's Amazing Spider-Man Venom, Marvel's Avengers X-Men, which is going to set up a bunch of shit. And then the Conan the Barbarian Free Comic Book Day special, focusing on a young Conan as he dreams of a life of adventures and envisions all of the future journeys he will take.
Crom.
That should be fun. Yeah, by Crom. And then here's the silver ones. Mostly reprints here, but reprinted in a way where people can easily digest them. Silver books are more for the all ages crowd. Animal Castle special, Fright Night,
Animal Castle, isn't that the one that's like Animal Farm?
It's like the sequel to
that
Animal
one's
Farm.
Not all ages.
That's not for kids.
It's still a younger. I think it's meant for middle, high school, younger. I mean, either Shadow Man.
I don't know.
Shadow Man isn't really either. Not
Shadow Man.
Young readers.
Shadow Man doing whatever a shadow can.
So yeah, there you go. There's your Free Comic Book Day books. We will have reviews of all of those.
Mad Balls versus the Garbage Pail Kids.
Dude, that book's not as bad as the title makes it seem.
I know Garbage Pail Kids. I don't remember Mad Balls.
Mad Balls is from the
rubber
80s.
balls that had weird faces on them.
They actually had like an animated movie where they escaped from their planet, land on Earth, and put on a rock show.
They were just a bunch of balls?
Yes.
They were just balls. I know.
They're like, how do we turn on the rocket? And the one's like, press the big red button. They're like, why? Because it's always the big red button.
Let's do the food.
Yummy.
Dave's the only dude in the world who's seen the Mad Balls movie.
I probably am.
All right.
It's low standards in the 80s. Wow.
Oh, no, we didn't have low standards. We had no standards.
Like I said before, you could get away with a lot of things in 80s movies.
Yeah.
80s
Either way.
That's what I mean. There were no standards at all. Double dose of food news is useless gadgets of the week. The first up is a cereal bowl. Reese's Puffs and Yoon An, who is a designer who owns the Ambush brand, has teamed up for this futuristic collaboration. It's an Ambush designed box of Reese's Puffs Okay, it's that chrome looking one.
Thanks
And the
for
rainbow
breaking
one,
that
I
down
guess.
for us.
Well, I guess it's both, right?
This is not the same guy that owns like Banta Black, is it?
I have no idea what else they own. So then it's also this chrome like cereal bowl that doubles as a purse.
Oh, okay.
And this is also going to come with a Reese's Puffs inspired metaverse experience called the Breakfast Verse.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, isn't this the most disgusting thing you've ever heard on this segment?
In a different way, but yes, I would actually agree with that.
So you can be entered in the sweepstakes to win
It's like finding out they got like Frank Lloyd
Puffs.
Wright to design someone's toilet brush or something
Dude,
like
exactly,
that. What the
yeah.
fuck is this?
So the box of cereal that we saw here, the chrome box of cereal, $50. $50 for the collectible box. The purse that also doubles as a cereal bowl, $150.
Looking at some of their stuff on their website, that's actually a deal considering they have a down jacket for over $2,000.
Jesus.
This is one of those things where like
it must be from a Phoenix.
If I knew someone who had spent money on these things, I would be very tempted to just punch them in the face, just for this.
I'd be concerned about them.
Yes, they have a neck crew sweatshirt that is $450.
So there you go. There's your horrible news for the day. Let's go to the second horrible news.
Can't be much
worse.
worse.
Cheetos has launched a new gadget called the Cheetos Duster.
Oh wait, what? Like it purees your Cheetos into dust or something?
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's actually pretty handy.
Instead of using a plastic bag and a rolling pin like I do when I actually have done this for a recipe or two, this uses a rechargeable.
That's like one of the little bullets.
Blender. Yeah, it's basically a blender. I don't know how much it is, but you can start ordering it on Amazon exclusively on the November 21st. While supplies last, you'll have to wait. So there's lots of things. There's Cheetos coated mozzarella sticks.
Yeah. There's
Cheetos
covered fried chicken.
Even at the movie theater, they do like the Cheetos covered popcorn,
Yeah.
So if you would like to make these copycat recipes,
without it on some donuts.
Okay, putting it on the chicken on the donut seems like a terrible idea to me, but I do recognize that people put Cheeto dust on a lot of things.
It's called Cheeto. It's called
like
Cheeto.
their phones.
It's got its own name.
Controllers.
Yeah, on their phones, on their hair, sometimes on
their clothes.
Yeah. Now, normally this might be where I say like, why not just use your blender? But I would not want to have to clean my blender of Cheeto dust, and so it does actually kind of make sense to have like a dedicated Cheeto dust maker.
Yeah, and I mean you can clean it. It's machine washable. Probably rinse it out, but yeah, there you go. It also comes with a whole shit ton of free recipes. So yeah, I mean that's like the perfect gift for somebody, really. Not perfect, but for like the cook who has everything. Why not? Why not?
Against all odds, I could see how this might be filling a specific niche that people need filled.
One day we will have the outright geekery kitchen.
No.
And we'd be filling it with all sorts of like terrible asinine shit.
Dumb gadgets.
It's such a rare thing to get something that's like palatable on this damn food.
I know the Cheeto thing is not that bad, but still.
David, you looked at last week. We actually had a couple of solid ones, if I remember correctly.
See, I'm keeping it middle of the road.
Gotta hit that C average.
Yeah. Let's do top 3. Let's do comics. One of these days, we will get to the news that I've. Holy shit, what a week of comics. Last week, there were a lot of good comics. This week was not bad either.
Yeah, it's a pretty good 2-week stretch we're having here.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure a lot of these books are going to get mentioned. I Hate Fairyland was dope. Star Trek Resurgence, not bad at all. A couple of familiar faces. Nightwing, I'm sure, is going to get mentioned.
Yeah.
Immortal was good. The Blue Wall was fantastic. Those are my honorable mentions. But my number 3, and the only reason this is my number 3 is because any of those books could have been my number 3. My number 1, easy. My number 3 was done since like last week. My number 2 was a nice surprise, but number 3 was Blade Vampire Nation number 1. Mark Russell, David Wachter. And again, this surprised the shit out of me. This was Detective Blade, dude. And it worked way too well. Of course, Mark Russell inserts his subtle social relevance as always, almost making vampires sympathetic in a couple of ways in this first issue. But the main focus is, again, cool Detective Blade. And yeah, it just really surprised me how much it worked. He's basically investigating the murder of a vampire by like some mercenaries. But yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun.
This was half of the shelves by the time I got to the shop.
Oh, you missed
I'm not
out.
sure I would have gotten it anyway, because like this seems like kind of an odd spin-off from something they did in Avengers like a year ago.
Yeah. That's the way that Avengers book has been, though. There have been so many good ideas. There could have been so many things spun off out of that Avengers book. But I'm glad they did this, because it really does feel like detective. Like, I don't want to say like Columbo, because Columbo always comes off as kind of a nincompoop, like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Hey,
Blade in this is the opposite.
He's 100. Dude, Columbo is like the world's greatest detective. I don't know what the fuck.
No, I know, but he comes off as like a dumbass. You know,
well, that's part
Blade
of his. That's part of his way of wearing down the suspects. You know, like
Blade comes off in this as like a hard ass. You know, it's like hard boiled.
It's more like a John Woo type of deal.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. So yeah, my number 3, Blade Vampire Nation #1. Taylor.
I'll do an honorable mention for Immortal X-Men. This one is kind of setting up some stuff that looks interesting in the future. It was kind of neat seeing like how Mystique was Sherlock Holmes and like they did all like the Victorian stuff. It was fun.
It was very interesting, but it was like more of the same.
Yeah. I'll do a shout out for Demon Days.
Oh, can I say one thing about the Immortal X-Men book? I'm sorry, I meant to
real quick. Go for it.
It had tones of the Jonathan Hickman Shield run. Remember that when they went back in time and they like there were famous real world people involved in the creation of Shield. This had tones of that, and it was very fun. I like that a lot. But
yeah, they definitely have a lot of vibes. Which, speaking of those vibes, the main reason this is an honorable mention and not on my top 3 this week is because another book was like playing games with history, and it did it a lot better this week. So I'll get to that in a bit.
Fun.
But anyway, also honorable mention for Demon Days, Shields of Justice. This is Peach Momoko's what if the Marvel Universe was like Oni and Yokai. And yeah, it's fun. And it's a real feast for the eyes. It's a little tropey. If like you've seen
it's a lot tropey.
Yeah, if you've seen much anime, you can see where the twists and grooves here. But it's Peach Momoko art, and you really don't need much more than that. And it's a fun read.
Yeah, one thing about this I will say that really jumped out at me, you can really see how Momoko has evolved with her sequential art. And this is the best sequential art she's done in any of these Demon books, man, that she's done. She's really gone next level. And I'm not just talking her style. I'm not just talking her brush to the paper. I'm talking the way she makes it, the story through the panels. That's really come through for her in this book. Yeah, the flow in this is so much better than in her previous.
A lot of
work.
good artists do struggle with like framing a sequence of events, and it is kind of cool to see like Peach Momoko evolve with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Not resting on her laurels, even though she probably could, since she's getting
right. All she needs to do is covers
for every comic book nowadays.
She only needs to do covers, man.
Yeah,
she got to be making more money at fucking Marvel right now than any other artist.
Might be. I mean, I do not know where she finds the time to do all the covers that she does.
She's shopping for groceries. Yeah, I'll take it. Just drawing.
Yeah. But anyway, my number 3 this week, though, is Nightwing, number 98.
Wow. What a fucking issue. What an issue.
Yeah, I mean, you always miss Bruno Redondo's artwork when it's not there. But this week it was a perfect switch over to having like crazy cartoon antics with Nightmite.
Which is the 5th dimension. Is it 5th dimension?
5th dimensional imp. Yeah, it's kind of like
Nightwing now has his own 5th dimension imp, and everyone makes a joke about it. There's at least 3 times. Oh, you have an imp now, because it all started with Mr. Mxyzptlk,
Yeah, and then eventually we get Batmite, and
then we got Batmite because Superman can't have anything for himself.
Back in like the Silver Age, they had all sorts of like every hero had their own like stupid thing. But they do a lot of fun shenanigans here. It was cool seeing like these are the people who would show up at Nightwing's wedding, and it is kind of a fun scene. It's also neat kind of seeing Nightmite being like a fanboy. You know, he showed up as Rick Grayson at the beginning, and that explains that little stinger from the last issue.
Yeah, very well done there. I like the wedding part here because Tom Taylor just has this knack for relationships, man, and he pushes their relationship forward here so much with just a couple of panels by him saying, no, not yet, and then Barbara being like, yet? You know, like, is this even a thing that could
happen? It's
it was so, but it was so subtle. It wasn't just cute, man. I mean, their relationship moved forward there more than when it was first established.
That's true.
It's been established since Taylor's had it, but now we have some struggle, you know, some communication issues coming to the fore. It was just very well done in a book that was meant to be nothing but just fun, good, silly times.
I mean, Tom Taylor, he's been on such a tear lately. I mean, I feel like I can't find enough ways to praise the guy, but he did this was a filler issue. You know, this was just like this was a swerve away from the main story. It probably was just him giving Bruno Redondo some time to get caught up on some artwork, and it's still fucking awesome. You know?
It's still fantastic. It's a love letter for Nightwing, this book. Easily the best Nightwing run. I mean, you can go back to the Wolfman run, you know, the original, that was great, and all that stuff. He's had some good stuff in other series, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, from what we know so far, moving forward in 2023, Nightwing is the guy at DC Comics. Teen Titans are going to be at the front. He's going to be leading them. Justice League is going to take a back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, things are going to happen, and it's because Tom Taylor took this series. And
I've never disliked Nightwing, but he has really risen up on my list of favorite characters since this run.
Like every now and then, B-lister tops, dude, tops.
Yeah. I mean, he'll always be Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Taylor does knowing why Dick Grayson is a lot of things Batman can never be, and that he is a really good hero on his own, you know, two legs, you know?
Yeah. And they talk about this in here. They even hint at that when Batman's like, there was just a triple homicide. And he's like, man, can't you ever, you know, very well done. Just all around. Tom Taylor's fantastic. So that leads us to Big D. I'm not sure you would have many honorable mentions this week, but go ahead.
I got two.
Okay, that's not too many. That's not too many.
All right. Just the first honorable mention is a book that I just grabbed off the shelf because I thought it looked interesting. Didn't know what it was about. It is Door to Door, Night by Night.
I didn't even see this book.
It's written by Cullen Bunn.
What publisher was it on?
Nightfall.
Source Point.
Nightfall.
Oh, that's a publisher. Nightfall.
It's an imprint from Vault.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I missed this. Go ahead. What's it about?
Essentially, there is this group of people who pick up a hitchhiker and basically kind of give the hitchhiker a job to help him out for a week for extra money. Turns out the hitchhiker is a monster hunter, and these people are door-to-door salesmen, not necessarily salesmen, but they're fundraising for a fire department. And they're going door to door. So she's kind of casing things and figuring out where the monster may be. Okay,
it's fun.
So
Coleman knows how to do horror.
Yeah, he does. He knows how to do horror, but the art was the art is okay. It's got a little bit of some stiffness to it, but overall it was a pretty good read.
Nice. Good shout out.
My other honorable mention this week is I Hate Fairyland, number 1.
Fantastic revisit to this.
It is great.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, Gert is, in the end of the original series, she got back to home. She, she's aged up because when she was in Fairyland, she never aged. She aged mentally, but she never physically aged.
Yeah.
And now she's caught up, and now she's going back to Fairyland because she's the most experienced person.
Well, what happens is the whole most of the part of the book has her living her normal life.
Well,
and again, be careful what you wish for, because
getting fired from jobs.
She's terrible at living her life
at work. But then she a billionaire basically hires
a billionaire's
her,
son. Yeah, exactly.
hires her to go find his son, who he believes is trapped in fairyland.
Yeah, so she's basically Rambo now. She's going to be Fairyland
No.
Rambo going in. No, it's not Fairyland fucking Rambo. It's Fairyland fucking Escape from New York.
She's a Snake Plissken.
She's Snake fucking Plissken. But yeah, this is a good read. Scotty Young drew the first I Hate Fairyland, didn't he?
Yes.
He was missed on this because he is not the artist on this.
No, it's very similar.
It's similar, but he was missed, dude.
He did write it.
Oh yeah, he wrote it.
But the artist was Brett Bean.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it is not
bad at all.
Not bad.
Again, he was missed. Just like Bruno Redondo was missed on Nightwing this week, even though Nightwing was fucking awesome. You could tell that Scotty Young did not draw this. So
yeah,
but still a good book. Great issue this week.
All right, and so jumping to my number 3 book this week is a book called Chroma.
It was solid. I couldn't really get into it, but it was.
There's a lot of solid. There's a lot of world building going on, and I
too much. Too much.
I don't understand. I don't fully understand the use or the thing about colors in it.
There's a lot of different use of colors.
Yeah,
the characters are not really fleshed out, but we know so much about the world that they live in.
Yeah,
but by the end of the first issue, I didn't understand why all that knowledge about the world meant anything to me actually enjoying the narrative. You know what I mean? It was, it was fuzzy to me by the end.
That's why, well, it's one of the reasons it was such a good book, but there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of world building, but I still have a lot of questions. And just like, but I think it's like I
want to learn about the characters.
Yeah, like Chroma might actually be like, because the girl on the cover here, she has 2 different color eyes. And I know there's like a heterochroma something.
Heterochromia, yeah. That's a mutant thing.
Yeah. But there's just a lot of world building. But it goes from color to black and white, and it's like the men can't experience color in the world, and one boy experiences color, and like things happen. I just leave it at that.
It's very odd. I'm just not sure. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good, but there was no way I was putting it on my top 3. But I still want to read issue 2 for sure.
I'm interested.
Yeah,
and
basically it's like this weird universe, a weird world where there's a tribe, and they go and have this like demon that's in an egg, and this demon busts out, but it's just like this girl wearing like demon garb. Yeah, and this girl got 2 different colored eyes, and that's why they're like treat her like a demon because she's different. But this other little kid like makes friends with her kind of. But again, you learn so much about the universe and what's going on with this society. But I want to learn more about the characters.
There's like I said, there's a lot of world building going on, and it's got me interested to see where it's going.
Pleasantly surprised by a mysterious pickup, by a random pickup. Good choice. All right, man. Nobody else read this, I guarantee it. But my number 2 this week is Batman: One Bad Day, Mr. Freeze, number 1, written by Gary Duggan. Matteo Scalera did the art. A great creative team. That's what brought me to the book. I haven't really been reading these One Bad Day.
If I had looked at the cover to see that Gary Duggan was writing this, I might have given it more consideration.
See. But here's why I picked it up. If you're writing X-Men or Avengers, and we'll talk about that next week, because the dude who's writing Avengers is doing a creator-owned book next week. Even though this isn't creator-owned, it's still outside of, his primary house where he's working. But Tom King wrote that Love Everlasting at Image. When one of the top writers in the business writes something outside of their usual norm, you definitely go and pick it up. And this was fantastic. We got a couple of chats. Keely chat. Hi, Keely. Thanks for hanging out. Hi, everybody. What's going on? Oh, just talking about comic books. But Mr. Freeze is probably my favorite.
Kind of our thing.
Right. And this was a whole lot of fun. Very cool dialogue, fun moments. Like, look at that art Matteo Scalera is doing. Very nice page panel there.
That has shades of Sorrentino in it.
It does. It has
shades of reminds me of Tim Sale, actually. I
was about to say the same fucking thing. It's like Andrea Sorrentino via Tim Sale, dude.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. But yeah, great look here. But great design. Look at the design, you know, the guard and Batman. And then there's your fun moments. Like he feels bad. He wants to give Mr. Freeze, which really should be Dr. Freeze. That's always bothered me. Anyway, they're taking him to a location that Bruce has bought for him so he can continue his research, right? He's trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. And there's like a Christmas angle here. Batman and Robin are dressed up as Santa and an elf, waiting for someone to come and do some business on a motorcycle. And he uses the bell, like the charity bell, to knock this shit out of him. Great Batmobile with the treads here, you know, because it's snowing. It's like Gary Duggan is like, nah, I'm a Marvel guy. I have my one fucking chance to write some Batman, and I'm going to do it. But it's got this great, like, Mr. Freeze duality, right? Turned a bit on its head. Mr. Freeze was a villain, sure, you know, no layers at all. But when they gave him the layers, he became sort of this sympathetic character.
Yeah, when Batman the Animated Series happened.
Exactly. Where he loved his wife and was doing things out of love, right? But in this, again, Duggan flips it on its head, where Freeze is villainous even prior to that turn, right? Before he put Nora on ice, right? He went against her wishes. She had a terminal disease. She just wanted to die gracefully. And he's like, no dignified death for you. What I want is more important. And then
what about me, Nora?
Yeah. And then even before that, right, they dig into a little bit where he came off as sort of detached from his marriage and like was controlling Nora in what I would say is like an abusive way. You know, so it added these great layers to a character who has possibly become sympathetic and really shouldn't be. You know, he's still a villain. And it's just really cool that a guy who isn't known for writing DC stuff could write a story that is so quintessentially DC in the context of Batman and Mr. Freeze and add sort of this new angle to it, but still have the warmth and the fun. And I mean, look, this is fucking warm as hell. I mean, this right here, so fucking fun. Just a great issue, man. I had so much fun with it, and we're in the holiday season. This isn't really a holiday book, but it leaned into that a little bit. But
well, it's close enough to Christmas.
Yeah, great Batman story with Mr. Freeze, and yeah, just fantastic issue, man. Would have been the best of the week if not for one other book, easily. Taylor, that's that lead up to you, number 2, man.
My number 2 is Captain America and the Winter Soldier Special, number 1.
Fantastic.
Yeah. This is hot off the heels of the big status quo shakeup from last week's issue of Sentinel of Liberty. Yeah. And we get to go into detail about who this outer circle group, like who they are and what their whole deal is. I loved the little meeting they had. It kind of reminded me of like East of West in a lot of ways. Like the
East of West, yep. And Illuminati meetups from the past, all 3 of them. Yeah, very
and that's
well
some cool things to say about like culture. And it's interesting to see like how these assholes like they have like totally bought into this whole idea of like my vision of the world will be such a good place, you know, like it'll be we will bring about peace and just you know, that paving a particular road to hell. It was kind of interesting, Paul, having Gavrilo Princip, the guy who assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, being the revolution. Yeah. As far as I'm aware, he was the only quote-unquote real person in this book. Yeah. But seeing Buddy, like kind of Bucky adjusting to his new situation, seeing him pulling in Peggy Carter. We get a cool stinger at the end of the issue where he's apparently sicking Sharon Carter on Steve somehow.
We'll see how that pans out. I think that's sort of a red herring. I think she's in.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure
like, just let me do what I do, Steve. But Steve's gonna fuck it up one way or the other. Because this book, the Sentinel of Liberty book with Steve, eventually has to get back to him sort of being a little bit naive in the modern world. You know what I mean? Because the book did lean into that a little bit in the first arc, and I think it stepped away from it as Jansing and Lanning are building into this whole outer circle thing. Because this is a really kind of, in my opinion, this issue is kind of like an establishment issue for these new villains, even though they've been teasing them and using them as the pivot point for the whole story up to this point. I think still the overarching theme of the Sentinel of Liberty book, which isn't a tie into the Sentinel of Liberty book, in no way ties in to the Sam book at all.
Yeah.
But they really need to get back to that Steve is naive in a way.
I don't know if I necessarily buy into that. I mean,
I love that. That was my favorite part of this story.
I wouldn't use the term naive. I would do the
innocent,
I would also
maybe
use the
innocent
term
to a fault.
Corny.
Innocent to a fault. Corny. Okay, corny.
Corny, I love corny Captain
doesn't
America.
hold the weight, though.
I don't. But see, I think it's a good word to use because it is not as much of an insult as being naive, and I don't think that, Steve is not naive, but he is kind of old
ignorant innocence there, dude.
It's not ignorance. It's like idealism in spite of knowing that he should know better, like him knowing that he should know better.
Yeah, but what I am waiting for is for Jackson and Lanning. Is that who it is? Is it
Kelly.
Jackson and Lanning? Kelly and Lanning. Kelly Jack. I thought it was two writers on this book.
It is Kelly and Lansing.
Kelly and Lansing.
Jackson, Lansing, and Colin Kelly.
I think I'm getting Abnett and Lanning.
I don't fucking know.
Dan Abnett. Anyway, they're eventually going to bring this around to show where having the ideal, because really what Bucky here is doing is using logic. You know what I mean? He really is. He sees things the way that they are. It's almost like a Magneto way of looking at things, instead of the ideal that Professor X has. And they're sort of playing off those opposing forces with Steve and Bucky, I think. At least that's where I think they're going.
They do have a good dynamic. I mean,
yeah,
I do
for
think
sure.
What's interesting about their dynamic is, again, Steve is not naive. He does see the way things are, but his way of doing it is
he's not going to let the times change him.
Yes, he is doing.
Bucky is doing that. Bucky is letting the times change.
Bucky is doing the quote-unquote hard-ass stuff, and Steve doesn't necessarily it's not from a position of ignorance, but he still holds on to his idealism because he recognizes that you need that.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. That's enough on this. We've spent too much time.
No, that's a great book, though. I mean,
it's a great book.
These are the kind of political sort of things, conservatism, but in a way that you're holding on to ideals.
I think it's hard to get Captain America right, and I think that this book does it. I mean, Captain America was not actually in this book, but
no, but it's definitely talking about everything that's precipitated in the other Captain America book, and it's still holding tight to the themes that book established, for sure. Yeah, great call out on that issue, man. All right, Dave, you're up with number 2.
My number 2 is Shaolin Cowboy number 7.
Cool to be kin.
Cover's
great. This is the page that got me.
Yeah,
man. Jeff Darrow. This guy, what the fuck? He just puts more detail in a single panel than most people put in an entire book. And it's just amazing. And there's all this subtle social commentary where he names the buildings after anti-gun control, anti-religious, anti-system things.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
He's a rebel on the page, dude. It's beautiful. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your review, but fuck, what a great issue.
It is a great issue.
This book retired. Everything Jeff Darrow is officially retired.
This book is done. This series is done.
Yeah.
But it does kind of leave a hint open for another Shaolin Cowboy.
Well, there will be. Shaolin Cowboy will go on as long as Jeff Darrow is able to hold a pen.
But this book is just, a Buddhist monk is fighting a kaiju, essentially.
Yeah, basically a giant pig that represents the system, the greed of the system.
No, the pig.
No, that's not even in this. There is a pig, but yeah, you're right. The one on the cover, that's a giant kaiju.
That is the arms dealer guy that killed the Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
That is, but he is just like all Shaolin Cowboy is doing is just whipping the shit out of this kaiju crab guy.
Yeah.
Which crabs are a common theme villain in Shaolin Cowboy. Not to this extent, but there's generally are crab villains.
Yeah, and this series had some Komodos, and we could talk about the whole series,
Oh yeah.
Early on with the Komodo dragon son, that was some heart-wrenching shit that ended up being just fucking hilarious.
Well, the pig
just brutal, dude.
The pig has a beef with Shaolin Cowboy because the pig thinks that Shaolin Cowboy ate his mother.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of just underlying things. Everybody in Shaolin Cowboy just about has a beef with Shaolin Cowboy because Shaolin Cowboy's appetite is huge.
Yeah.
It's
one of the
basically
best
how it
one of the
is.
best series of the year for sure, man.
It is
One of the
great,
best
but
for the year.
he fights this kaiju-sized mobster, and the one thing he's just concerned about is like after the battle, he's like, I just want to get me a new hat.
Yeah. 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 That's the genius of Jeff Darrow, though, man. He knows when to slip in these little dumb jokes because he knows the art is going to carry the whole book, and it does. It just so does.
But we had the return. We had the return of the Master, and we had the return of the Bing Crosby character.
Yeah.
In the flashbacks where they talk to Shaolin Cowboy about the lesson here you need to learn is this. Remember your breathing and all. Remember your breathing. Like Bing Crosby.
Yeah, so good.
Let's drag on a cigarette.
Yeah. No, it's so good. I mean, what else can you say about Jeff Darrow? He's just that damn good.
Jeff Darrow is fantastic.
Yeah. So hopefully we get another volume, but man, this one was great. What is this, the third or fourth volume of Shaolin Cowboy?
I think it's well past that.
I think it's third. I think it's the third.
No, because Shaolin Cowboy started at Dark Horse, went to Burly Man, came back to Dark Horse.
I'm talking about all of those, though.
I think
altogether there are 3 or 4 volumes, including this one.
Look it up. Let's move on.
Yeah, look it up. Look it up. Anyway, great call out for a great series, one of the best of the year. But the number 1 book of the week, hands down, no argument. I knew it on Monday. 10,000 Black Feathers, number 3. Jeff Lemire.
I am inclined to agree that this was the best book I read this week.
Yeah, so Dave agrees with me, so we'll only have one more book. But let me get into this. Andrea Sorrentino, Dave Stewart, Jeff Lemire, the best team on the planet right now. This single issue, in my opinion, escalates the entire medium, right? Best creative team on the planet. This is the best book on shelves. As you see here, Sorrentino has been using 2 different art styles, right?
Yes.
And it leads you to believe, the book makes you assume that the art styles are corresponding with the past and the future. But really, they're not. As seen here in this issue, they're really corresponding to sort of the loss of innocence, right? As the 2 best friends is seen here, one of them is in the art style that's used when they're young, and the other's using the art style when they're old. But that's really not what's happening, But as you'll see here, they use these feathers, right? The feather falling through the page, and the art style changes through the silhouette of the feather to the art style where they've lost their innocence. And it's just so perfect. And it's done again here with the slap. After the slap, the art style changes for her friend. And that's all coupled with the amazing style that Sorrentino has in all of his books, plus all of the horror themes. I mean, this page right here, holy shit.
I spent too much time on this page trying to figure out what that said.
I mean, oh my God. And then just an amazing cliffhanger as our lead character went and visited the only witness to her friend's murder, all those years ago. And then that dude ends up being apparently ritually sacrificed.
Yeah,
just a perfect issue, man.
She tricked him into meeting him.
Yeah, she tricked him into meeting him, but he still met with her. And but then he ends up being ritually sacrificed, by something. We don't see who, but still a lot of mystery.
It's that underlying dark character that we were introduced to when they were playing D&D, is how I figure it.
Yeah, Andy chiming in that he loved Captain America, and also, Black Feathers is amazing. Yeah, dude, this book is the real deal.
Somehow, I keep thinking that somehow this character, the dark character from the D&D game, has crossed over like a tulpa or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. It definitely feels like some sort of tulpa thing. But again, the way they're doing the art in this, the way the design and the work, the communication between creators, you can really feel it. Man, it's just a perfect issue. Again, this escalates the medium as a single issue. Well in front. I mean, you look at the Batmite issue this week, or the Night Mite, whatever issue of Nightwing this week, and this issue, 2 of the best issues for the entire year. for two completely different reasons. But yeah, just so well done. And man, you can't do the things that they did in this issue of 10,000 Black Feathers in any other medium. You just can't do it. The mixing of the art styles, the way the mixing of the art styles is communicating, the way the story is playing out. And I mean, this page right here is all you need to know. The way that Feather is silhouetting the different art styles. It's emotion through non-moving pictures. And I mean, what else is there to say? This is why I read fucking comics. This is why I read comics. Taylor, I can't wait for this to be in trade, dude. I know that's how you read.
I think
your
it'll
Image
read
stuff.
better in trade.
Oh, it will definitely read
better
better in trade. Yeah. But just a spectacular issue. I can't rave enough about it. We need to actually plan for that, guys. You know, it's the last week of November. We need to plan for our January 1, you know, end of the year, best of 2023.
Oh,
so
man, that snuck up on me this year. Yeah.
It really did. Yeah. So look for that. But that leads us to Taylor and his number one. Excellent call out, Dave. Best issue of the year for me so far. But Taylor, number one book of the week.
My number one book this week is GCPD, The Blue Wall, number 2.
Oh my gosh!
Oh crap! I missed that this week.
Fucking book, dude.
You missed out then because
you missed
out. This book throws gut punches.
Yep.
You know, like they are grappling with some very
real world shit.
Yeah, some very difficult real world issues, and they're doing it in a very intelligent, very insightful way.
But still keeping it inherently within the DC universe.
Yeah. They even like call it out here. You have like references to like, you know, Trauma with Two-Face, and Renee Montoya is of course a, you know, well-established character at this point. But it's centering upon these 3 rookie cops who are going in with all these ideals, wanting to be, you know, to do good in the world. And they even like say directly in here, they are being crushed inside of this machine that is modern police departments, you know?
Yeah. And not just that, also the parole officer in here was very
that was
very heart-wrenching.
Yeah, on the cover here we have our parole officer, and he was really the centerpiece of this particular issue. Yeah. He hardens himself, you know? He listens to his piece of shit, cynical senior officer who's like, you can't be modelly coddling them, you gotta be tough. And it kills a guy. Yeah. It literally fucking kills a guy who was reaching out to him, looking for exactly what he wanted to give, but the system had hardened him in such a short time that he did what he thought this guy would want. You know, it really hits you hard because it breaks a guy who's trying to do the right thing so fucking quickly, you know?
Yeah. John Ridley is telling an amazing story here. And the reason it's an amazing story is because it's real. All right. It's not The Wire. It's not over sensationalized.
Yeah.
This is ripped out of headlines sort of shit, but it's like a documentary about the people who are ripped out of the headlines in the context of people working in the justice system.
Yeah.
He is telling a story about the justice system, but he's doing it in the DC universe, in the Gotham City universe. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
In a lot of ways, I can draw a parallel here between this and what I think is one of the more powerful X-Men stories, God Loves, Man Kills.
Yes.
Because in 100%. Both cases, you know, I am probably never going to be in a situation where Dr. Doom is threatening to blow up the planet with a moon laser. But this is the sort of shit we deal with in the real world, you know?
Yeah.
Reverend Stryker is the exactly kind of bigoted, hateful televangelist mouthpiece that you would see in real life. And here, this is the system that's supposed to serve and protect, and how cynical and hardened, and, you know, a lot of guys are just like assholes who are looking for permission slips. Yeah. And, you know, that's such a, what the fuck are you supposed to do about that? They also address that in this issue, right? We're like, you think you're going to come in here and you're going to dismantle, you know, 300 years of white supremacy and white privilege. Man, that's naive as hell, man.
Yeah. Ridley could have very easily gone in here and done a police procedural that was boilerplate and things like that. But what he's doing is he also could have come into a book like this and been 100% bemoaning of the individual parts of the system. There's problems with judges. There's problem with the bureaucracy. There's problems with the cops on the beat. And there are. But what Ridley is doing is sort of pointing all that and saying, no, the real problem is systemic.
Yeah.
He's really leaning into that hard.
It really elevates
but not to the point where he's giving everybody an out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These people are struggling with the system. These people are struggling in terms of dealing with the system the same way that we are. They have our same frustrations. And Ridley's really communicating that so well in this book.
Yeah, it really elevates this book is that, like, you don't just have, like, stupid caricature people going around being, like, cartoonishly corrupt. They're corrupt in the way that you would maybe even understand, given the kind of that they're stuck in. You know?
You can almost be that empathetic.
You can understand why these people are jaded. You know? Yeah.
Yes, dude. Yeah, man. How about a week? Honest to God, Bone Archer Mythos, 10,000 Black Feathers. That's Book of the Year contender. GCPD, Book of the Year contender for Eisner's. You know that Night book, that Nightwing book. That's issue of the year contender. That's the kind of thing the awards panels fucking love. They love the kind of shit that happened in Nightwing this week. Plus all the mainstays, plus an I Hate Fairyland debut. Man, we have been spoiled rotten. Next week is not as great. Thanks for hanging out.
We had 2 weeks in a row, you know.
We did.
More than we usually
did. We're going to talk about all of those books that are coming out next week on tomorrow night's show. It'll be a Gomer and Taylor hour. David will not be here.
No,
but
sorry.
Come back and check that out. You can get links to where you can find that on outrightgeekery.com. Links to everything we got going on is over there. Patreon, the store, the social medias, the movies, the YouTubes, the podcasts, the audios, and the comic book bullies, our pals over there, Leroy and Eli, always doing good stuff, having a good time. Not really sure what they're leaning into this week. But Leroy was pissed that they left some dude off of the credits for Black Panther, some comic book writer. So that'll be fun. Shameless plug from Andy. December is Stan Lee month over at Outright Geekery Facebook group. Go over there. Go to Facebook. Search for Outright Geekery. Join the group. Stan Lee would have been 100 years old this year.
Excelsior!
Excelsior for real.
Face front, true believers.
Yeah. So, keep coming back, y'all. We really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. But most of all, thanks to these guys for hanging out with this guy.
Always fun.
We are going to do it again next time.
Same geek time, same geek channel.
Well, copycat.
I am not.
I mean, I said it first. I'll hurt.